So welcome, Kris Gilbertson, yes, to the Fran Show. How are you?
Thank you. I'm fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing outstanding. So I unapologetically say that this show is about interviewing the most interesting people in the world, period. Most interesting people in the world, and that means you. So what makes you interesting, Kris?
What makes me interesting is I have a really unique ability to really connect with people and help them get their story out of them. And it took me a long time to own up to it and realize it and trust my instincts. But over the past few years, it's been really exciting being able to see people blossom and be able to be the expert in their field based on some of the things I've been able to help pull out of them and have them see that they never saw before. So that's what makes me the most interesting person in the world.
And so what do you call yourself? If you pull stories out of people, what do you call yourself?
Well, my title that I call myself is a podcast expert. And the podcasting piece is just the vehicle, the tool I use to help experts get their message out there in a bigger way. So that's my kind of AKA for my title.
How did you come to podcasting?
Great question. By accident. I was in real estate for 7 years, and I was doing a lot with luxury auctions and doing a lot of different, learning about all the different styles of real estate. And there came to a point where I was so much more interested in creating a passive income and creating a freedom-based, a lifestyle industry where I could be where I wanted to, because I was traveling 6 days a week. I was on the road like a crazy person. Yeah. And I didn't have a life. I had great money, but no life. And so I started researching the internet world. And I saw some of the real estate agents and professionals had started saying the online world was the new real estate for the future. And so I was like, that's interesting. And they were getting more leads per day by their sales pages and their email opt-in rates and things that they were doing. So I started to research that, and I went from event to event to event. I like to call myself the seminar junkie. So I was just always, learning, not taking action. And I finally met someone at an event that was talking about podcasting, how you could just speak your story and get out there and reach millions. And that's when the light bulb went off. It was like, I can do that. It's not overcomplicated. It's something every entrepreneur can do. And I found a way to really help other entrepreneurs do the same thing to launch and take themselves off. So that's how I came about it.
There are lots of platforms out there that allow you to podcast, to get your podcast out there. Did you select iTunes? And if so, why'd you go with that platform? I understand why you go with iTunes, but for those folks who may not know a whole lot about the world of podcasting, why iTunes?
Oh, absolutely. iTunes, well, first of all, 75% of the downloads come from iTunes. But the most important part with iTunes is that it's leverage. You're leveraging a huge brand, a huge company that has created a huge loyal following that already has a strong reputation. So when you put your content in iTunes, there's already over 50 million people that are searching actively. There's 40 million listeners on a daily basis listening to podcasts alone, not searching for music, but experts to tune into. So all you need to do is get yourself out there and be positioned in iTunes, and people will start to find you all over the world. So that's why it's so important, is because of the key leverage that can happen for you.
Now, there's one thing folks want to know. They go, okay, so I'm looking at the iPad. I'm looking at my podcast, getting it out there. Is there a way that I can actually monetize that, though?
Yes, great question. I get this all the time. And absolutely. So your podcast is really what I like to call epic transparency. It's your tool to get people to really connect with you live. Like with your show, Fran, people probably feel like they're best friends with you because of the interaction they've had. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the podcast is people can take you with them on the go with their phone when they're at the gym. And what happens there is a bond and a trust that is one of the most powerful marketing tools you could ever have in your business. So people only buy from people they like or trust. So when you have a show that people can tune into weekly, the fastest way to monetize your podcast, if you're just getting started, is to be an affiliate for other people that have products and services. So like with Fran, she's got a lot of products and services that you can talk about and refer traffic back to websites that she's already created that convert really, really well. So that's one way. The other way is to be have your own products and services. If you're signing up for webinars, I teach a lot of my clients can increase traffic to their website by about 40% because they drive traffic back to their website to have them opt in, what we call where we get their name and email address, and you can start to build your list where you can promote webinars. Maybe you're a speaker. A lot of top podcasts will just say, if you'd like to speak, book me for your next speaking event, email me at XYZ. I mean, as simple as that. So there's a lot of ways to monetize.
So what's next for you? I mean, you're in the podcasting world. You're in one of the biggest marketplaces in the world by being in kind of the Apple family. That's why I like you have Apple kind of promoting what you do. What's next for you that's exciting?
What's next for me is that I am launching a new show, which I'm really excited about. My current show is where I interview experts and millionaires all across the world to help them in their business. But I'm taking it to the next level, and I'm calling it the Millionaire Makeover, where I'm actually helping business owners go from frustration to freedom through understanding if the millionaires today had to start over today, what would they do and how would they do it? Because I feel a lot of people see these big names and they're just they're the deer in headlights. Like, I can't be like them yet. I don't know how to do this. And I want to help more people be able to take action and move forward because, like T.R. Becker always says, every master was once a disaster. And I want to help people take the next move. So that's where I'm at.
Turn your mess into your message, right?
Yes, exactly.
Kris, what's been one of the best pieces of advice that you've gotten as an entrepreneur?
Best piece of advice that I've received as an entrepreneur, Keith Cunningham. He is what I call my rich dad. He actually really is the rich dad that helped Robert Kiyosaki write the book, the Rich Dad Poor Dad series. And he said to me, Kris, get in line and stay in line. And that was the best advice I've ever gotten because my personality, like a lot of entrepreneurs, we're all over the place. We have an idea a minute. I've got a whiteboard on my back that's got 500 ideas of what I want to launch, last week. And so he's like, Kris, get in line and stay in line. Most entrepreneurs, they get in line, they see the next shiny penny, they get out of line, and they have to start all the way back over again. So he said, get known for something, stay in line, and then you can build your business as big as you want.
How have you been able to market your podcast? Or, I have podcasts on my iPhone, on my iPad, on my pod, everything. There are millions of iPods and iPads and out there that have lots of podcasts on them. How have you been able to get yours in front of the folks that you want to get it in front of?
Great question. How iTunes is organized is they kind of have a hierarchy of the podcast. So there's different categories that you can easily be found for, which is a great way. But when you're first getting started, you want to show up in the new and noteworthy section in iTunes, and then you transition, because you're only there for about 8 weeks, then you transition into what's called the what's hot in your niche or category. And so there's a way to go about doing that by getting reviews and likes for your podcast the minute you launch. So you want to have a strategy, and you want to have a few of your podcasts, your episodes in the can already produced, ready to go, so you can maximize that. Then after that time period, what you want to do, I always suggest for people to have a solo entrepreneur show, interview show together where they can talk about, growing their expertise on their knowledge, but interviewing other experts, because again, it comes down to leverage. So you're going to leverage their audience, their following, their loyal tribe, and grow your business at the same time. And if you look at Oprah, she's built her entire brand on expert interviews. Yeah. So those are some of the two biggest things that you can do to really hit a bang out there in the iTunes marketplace.
You mentioned how folks get kind of overwhelmed by the whole notion of starting their own business and those kinds of things. And we all have habits that are productive. We have habits that are unproductive. What's one of your most unproductive habits that you've had to overcome to be successful as an entrepreneur?
Oh, social media. It's a time void. As much as I love using Facebook to market my business and LinkedIn, I have a little timer. It's actually not in front of me right now. It's a little stopwatch. And I put, 30 minutes, I got to surf Facebook, put my stuff up there, interact with other people and build relationships. And then I got to get off, because otherwise it's 4 hours later and I'm like, what am I doing? So I time myself.
That's funny. So that's your worst habit. What's your best habit as an entrepreneur?
My best habit is getting a schedule. So when I tell myself I'm going to do something, I set deadlines on everything. Because with our ideas, again, we could take weeks to figure them out, but I always say it's going to be done by this day, and that's the time I give myself to get it done. And then I can always come back and fix it up, but I make sure I launch it when I launch it, so I stay in a habit of getting my work out there.
If your life were a movie today, what genre would it be in, and what would be the name of your movie?
Well, the name, I think I'd love to do what I'm going to do with my new podcast, The Millionaire Makeover, and the genre would be in business and life, I guess I'd say, and really showing other people how to step up, play a bigger role, serve a higher purpose in their life, and live the lifestyle of their dreams through expert in interviews and the stories or the ups and downs that I've been through in my business as well.
Who would play you?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. I don't. Somebody really exuberant. What was that?
I threw you a fastball.
Yeah, I know. I don't. Catherine Zeta-Jones. I would love her to play me. That'd be fantastic.
There you go. All right, Kris, where can people connect with you? What's happening? First of all, what's new and exciting that you're working on right now that we can tell people about?
Excellent. Well, I'm launching my new book, Podcasting 2.0, How to Generate More Free Traffic, Leads, and Sales for Your Business by Partnering with iTunes. That's launching on Amazon next Tuesday. And they can find out more about me at KrisGilbertson.com. That's Kris with a K, and KrisGilbertson.com.
All right, y'all, check her out. Kris, thank you so much. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Fran. Have a great weekend, too. Take care.
Right. So you guys are watching the Fran Harris Show. That was Kris Gilbertson. Great interview about what you need to do to get your brand out there through podcasting and specifically through iTunes. You know, it's about partnering with iTunes, whether you're developing mobile apps or you're developing podcasts as Kris Gilbertson does. Whatever you're doing, they already have the audience. So here's an opportunity for you to take your expertise, get it in a podcast if that's what you want to do, or if you just want to do little snippets, what I call interstitials, to get your brand out there. Then Kris has just shown us that it's much easier than most of us think. So you're watching the Fran Harris Show. Excited to have you joining us today, and hope you had an opportunity to listen as I interviewed Kris Gilbertson, and before that, Dr. Stacey Mobley, who talked about different ways to approach your health. All right, we're going to sign up for a quick second. We'll be back. If you're watching the Fran Harris Show, we'll be back in a couple of minutes. I'm going to check in on our other guests. You're watching the Fran Harris Show. Hang out.